Dr. Charmaine Palmer-Roberts is a medical CEO, a mother, a Liberty Hill native, and now a candidate for North Charleston City Council's District 4 area. I talk one-on-one with Dr. Roberts for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Dr. Charmaine Palmer-Roberts, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Hello, Quintin. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, I
finally made it to Quintin's Close-Ups. I feel special.
Well, we know that you are very heavily involved in this particular community. In fact,
Yes.
you are the first chief operating officer of a Southeastern premier podiatry practice. You also are
Yes.
a mother. And I know that too, you have been born and raised in Liberty Hill area of North Charleston. In addition to all of that, of course, Dr. Roberts, you're now a candidate for North Charleston City Council's District 4 seat, which includes
District 4 includes Coosaw Creek, Coosaw Preserve, Coosaw Commons, Indigo Palms, Charleston Park, and all of the Westcott community. So everything from Patriots Club Course, Patriots Boulevard,
yes.
down to Westcott Boulevard, connecting right before you get to Dorchester Road.
Matter of fact, when I was coming back from Publix on Sunday, I saw your sign in the middle of the road right there at Dorchester and Ashley Foss Space.
Yes, that would be me. That would be me.
But Dr. Roberts, with all your experience in the illustrious resume, why politics?
Good question. Politics mainly because over the past 25 years, I've been working and serving in the community of the city of North Charleston, more on a grassroots level, working with nonprofits, working with school districts, doing mentoring and tutoring. And I feel that as a city councilwoman, I will be able to make more of an impact on that platform. As you can imagine, grassroots work is very difficult. The resources are limited. And I'm at a place in life where I feel like my educational and professional experience brings me to the table where I can be more effective and impactful in my city. I love Charleston, homegrown. So I definitely want to make sure that I am giving back to my community in such a way that those that are not as fortunate as I've been to have had the opportunities can see that there are things out there that's available for them as well.
So, Dr. Roberts, as we sit here right now, what are those opportunities for people in District 4, for instance?
District 4 is a very, very unique district. We are city of North Charleston, but we rest in Dorchester County. So we kind of straddle the fence in terms of having advantages from the things that the recreation departments through the city of North Charleston, but the city in Dorchester County has partnered on several initiatives. And so we're pretty fortunate, I would say, in that regard. Most of the opportunities that I'm talking about would be more for those other areas of the city of North Charleston that are considered underserved areas, more like the south end of the city of North Charleston, Liberty Hill, for example, where I grew up. The kids don't have the opportunities. As a child growing up, I did not have a lot of people that looked like me that I was able to look up to and aspire to be like. And I want to definitely be an inspiration to women, to children, to those who are like me, first college graduate, of my family, who didn't have the opportunities of growing up, with parents that were college educated parents and kind of knew the ropes. I had to figure it out myself along the way. And I want to make sure that, I am leaving a legacy, not just for my children, but for my community.
And Dr. Roberts, you talked about obviously the underserved communities that we all know in North Charleston. And I know obviously the income brackets for District 4 and whatnot.
Yes.
But what are those underserved areas in District 4 that we need to be focusing on right now?
So even though District 4 is, I would say probably, income wise, probably one of the highest income, district in the city of North Charleston, we still have pockets in our district of communities or those individuals that still need. Joseph Pye Elementary School, for example, while doing my canvassing and speaking to some of the residents in my district, they've mentioned how that school, they have needs just like any other school. in Charleston County or Dorchester County School District. So when you talk about underserved and unpopulated areas, I would say District 4 isn't as, there's not a lot of them in District 4, but there are pockets of residents, I would say, that could benefit from resources that the city has and the county, Dorchester County as well.
Okay, Dr. Roberts. So what public-private partnership would you be in favor for to help close that particular gap, for lack of a better word?
Oh, that's right up my alley. Nonprofits is up my alley. My master's is in public administration, and I worked on state and federal governments, work with state and federal government agencies. So I already kind of have those relationships already intact. I work with a lot of community members and community leaders. I'm a member of Royal Baptist Church, and so I serve there as a trustee. And we do a lot of partnerships throughout church as well. So for me, what I would be looking to do is really looking at some of the current organizations that are in place, the grassroots organizations, the people that are really out in the community, really out doing the work, and connecting them with companies such as a Boeing, or Mercedes, because as federal contractors, they have a duty to do what is called good faith efforts. And that is giving back to the community. That is working with minority businesses. That is working with veteran-owned businesses. And so when those initiatives, what I want to do is tap into those resources, have those companies that are coming into our district that are bringing jobs, which is great. But there are other areas that they could also help and benefit, because there are schools that need STEM programs or that have STEM programs that could benefit from partnering with the Boeing per se. And I know Boeing does a lot of work already. My church is partnering with them on several initiatives, as well as the Liberty Hill Alliance has partnered with them as well. And so there's a lot of things that's happening that's not really, people aren't informed, a lot of times. And so I want to kind of be that catalyst that brings District 4 into the fold, bring other groups in that are kind of spread throughout the city of North Charleston together, to the point that we are working as one unit and not having pockets of groups working in silos, but coming together and working more cohesively.
And Dr. Roberts, you mentioned something very interesting to me. You mentioned about the minority and veteran businesses. So, and this is a topic that everybody's talking about now, as far as wanting to bring minority and veteran-owned businesses into their areas. Where exactly can that be in District 4?
So District 4, actually, really, we're more residential. We are surrounded by businesses, but we don't have businesses. Mercedes sits on the outskirts. Mercedes, I reside in Coosaw Preserve. And so you come out of my subdivision, you drive maybe a good 500 feet, and I'm sitting right at Mercedes and Boeing. And then there are several other businesses along Paramount Commerce as well. So District 4, we don't have businesses per se in our district, but we have businesses that surround our district that I think that we still can partner with, to bring things into District 4 per se, as well as the city of North Charleston.
And I want to talk to you more about that in a second, Dr. Roberts, but you talked earlier about residents, obviously in District 4 and the city of North Charleston. Let me ask you, for District 4, how many residents did you all gain in the past 2 years?
Ooh, a lot in the past 2 years. I'm one of one over the past 4 years, if you will. I've been here for about 4 or 5 years. Okay. I would say my subdivision alone, we have over 500 homes here in my subdivision alone, in District 4. So when you account for my subdivision, 500 residents, give or take two parent, households, if you will, we're looking at over 1,000 residents just alone in Coosaw Preserve. Wow. Now, the next biggest development, we're the most recent development for District 4. And then you have some other communities that are outskirting us that's not necessarily in our district, like McEwen, which is right across the street from us. So I would say a little over 1,000, a good bit over 1,000 residents.
So where exactly did some of these people move to District 4 from?
Well, Charleston is we are the place to now come to live and work. We used to be the place where people came to just retire, but that's no longer the case. People are coming here looking to work, to live, and then retire or leave here and retire, if you will. I would say a lot of residents, even those that I've met throughout my campaigning, have come from various states. A lot of up north. residents are currently here, and then most of that is driven by job opportunities or transferring, from one job to another.
Sure.
I've actually met a couple of residents who work from home, and they just wanted to reside in Charleston because the weather is good. They love our weather here. And so they wanted to be closer to good weather, closer to the beach, if you will. And so they work from home. So they're just here working from home.
And we got to go back to 2020. Obviously, that was just like yesterday in many people's minds.
Yes.
And as you know, a lot of people worked from home. This is how Zoom originated with this, of course.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. This is kind of interesting. Do you know how many people in District 4 actually work from home now?
I do not. And that is a great question. I can tell you that in my campaigning, ironically, I found a lot of people to be home because, the first thought is like, well, I'm kind of out and about. Right. It's 12 or 1 o'clock. Right. Most people may be at work, right? Not the case. I'm finding that a lot of people have worked from home. COVID taught us how to be very versatile. COVID taught us that we can live in a world that we could still work and provide for our families, and we do not have to per se have a brick and mortar. We don't need the four walls of an office building to still be productive, if you will, in a workforce. And so I think a lot of people have gotten that unique perspective on how to make a living, if you will, and survive, and not necessarily going to the office. And then the other side of that is you had businesses who just could not sustain the financial impact and the hit that we took during COVID, and they had to downsize. And so they learned how to flip job positions and job roles into virtual roles or remote or hybrid opportunities that I think has worked very well for some companies. And so we have a very unique situation that we're kind of still in. COVID still exists, so we're kind of still dealing with it on some level. But as far as workforce is concerned, a lot of residents here in District 4 either still work from home or started their own businesses, for whatever reason, since COVID.
So what is the cost of living currently in District 4?
District 4, I would say cost of living is probably at a medium about $200 to $250 on average.
And so you talk obviously about the growth that's happening in that area. Mm-hmm. Where do you see that growth rate trajecting in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think we're running out of green space in District 4. I know Indigo Palms is in the process right now of building some more homes in the back of their subdivision. And so that's going to be growth. I'm not sure of the exact number of homes that they're looking to build, but they're in the process of building some new homes. Westcott is building on Westcott Boulevard. We're having some condos being built, townhomes, condo, if you will, being built in that area. So, when you look at that type of growth, if you will, and you look at the potential of people that it can bring into our district, I would say by the time construction is complete, let's say the next a year to two, we may be at another 600 to 1,000 people in District 4. And in terms of green space, we don't have a lot of green space in District 4 because we're unique in a way, the way we're cut.
Right.
And so because of where we're zoned, right, a lot of the green space that really sits almost literally in our district is outside of our district, right on the outskirts of us. Yes,
ma'am. Okay. So with that redistricting that just happened, as you know, just recently, how has that affected zoning changes in District 4?
I was definitely shocked by the way the zoning was, or the rezoning was, if you will. When you look at the way District 4 is cut now, we up Patriots Boulevard, down Club Course, down Westcott makes sense. But then you have this little area like Indigo Palms that's off of Ashley Phosphate Road, right, tucked away behind Cathedral of Praise, tucked away behind Windsor Hill. Right. It's like, okay, interesting. Yeah. And then you come out on Dorchester Road off of Patriots Boulevard, and you go down about a half a mile, and then you go behind another subdivision, an apartment complex, and you get Charleston Park that's just neatly tucked away. And so I don't know the reasoning behind why those zoning decisions were made at that time. I was not a part of those discussions, but I can tell you that it has caused a different perspective, if you will, on zoning, and I'm digging more into why zoning happens the way it happens, and kind of what drives those decisions. I'm sure there's some sort of metrics behind it and strategy as to why District 4 was cut the way it was cut, but I'm looking forward to kind of understanding that process a little bit more and digging deeper into the whys.
And let me ask you, what metrics are you and your team looking at currently for District 4?
For District 4, one of the things we want to do is first, let me say that Councilman Ron Brinson did a great job in District 4 in terms of the things that he's brought to the districts, the Aquatic Center, and partnering with the Dorchester County, if you will. We have the Aquatic Center, we have the Senior Living Center that's coming, we have the library, which I was at that ceremony with Councilman Brinson. And so those things are great. He's done a very good job. I understand that there's a soccer complex that's looking to be coming in the next few years as well. And then we finally going to have a little cutout through Weber Boulevard so we can get to the interstate a little quicker. So I'm excited about that. But so my team and I can tell you, for me, is my slogan is kind of moving forward together. I want to continue the path forward on District 4 that we are on. The trajectory that we have right now, I think, is fairly well. I think that we are moving in a great direction here in District 4. Infrastructure is pretty solid. Our quality of life, is well kept. I would like to use my experience and relationship as a paralegal for over 25 years to continue to working with the police department and Dorchester County Sheriff's Department to ensure that public safety is top priority. As a criminal justice major from the University of South Carolina, I take crime very seriously. So I have been working in that area, like I said, for over 25 years, and working at the Department of Justice with, on a federal level as well as a state level at the Attorney General's office. And so I'm very passionate about crime. And I would say if there was anything that we probably would want to, in terms of metrics and measurements, is making sure our crime stays, at a moderate to low level, as low as possible. You can never get rid of crime, but we can definitely mitigate crime.
I want to get to that in just a second, but
Okay.
You obviously mentioned infrastructure. So what new infrastructure projects are in the works currently for District 4?
So currently, there are some things that are already on the table. As I said, Councilman Brinson has been working on, and we have a red light that's coming in from Weber that connects Weber and Patriots Boulevard. We have the interstate connect that's coming in as well on the other end of Weber Boulevard. We just completed the library. The Senior Living Center is going to be coming soon, in a what I understand to be a soccer complex. And the hope is that could be a more multi-sport complex that will actually house more than just soccer, because of course, we have young girls and young boys that are involved in several types of sporting activities. And with the closing of or remodeling, if you will, of Danny Jones complex out in the Park Circle area, we lost a lot of that for young people. I grew up as a cheerleader in Danny Jones. Started off when I was 5 years old. And so, we did a lot there. We had access to football. We had track. We had a baseball complex. We had the gym. And so we need those things. So I don't know if that is in the works, because I know that was something that's, from my understanding, is still kind of on the table and being discussed and kind of developed. But I hope that in my winning this election, that will be something I can offer input on, to have a more diverse complex, if you will, to help all children in the areas in which they, would choose to participate in on an athletic standpoint.
So how many students do you actually have in District 4 right now?
So right now, District 4 has Fort Dorchester High School, and then Fort Dorchester Elementary and Joseph Pye. And so I would say, over 1,000 students that are in District 4. With the rezoning, again, one of the things that I heard from one resident was, his kid went to several different schools at one point, because the rezoning kept changing. And then you have right across on the other side of Dorchester Road is River Oaks Middle School, which is not in District 4, but those kids come into District 4, into Fort Dorchester High School, unless they go to Rawlings. So we're cut so uniquely in a way, and I think our neighboring districts are fairly equal, I think, to kind of where we are.
As you know, Dr. Roberts has been in the news, I guess, going back to 2015 when State Representative Marvin Pendarvis brought up the idea, but he basically wants to, cut away from the Charleston County School District, have the city of North Charleston, that is, cut away from the Charleston County School District. As we sit here right now, would that be ideal for your district?
I don't know if it probably would not, only because we are in Dorchester County. And so we adhere to Dorchester County School District ordinances, rules, and regulations. And so that may work for other districts in the city of North Charleston. But for us, I'm not sure how that would work, because, again, we're the only district that, share municipalities when it comes to the county. And so I think that would be a very interesting discussion for us. And everything typically comes back to the dollars, dollars and cents. And so I think it would be a very interesting conversation and debate over letting go the students of Joseph Pye and Fort Dorchester High School and Elementary to release them into the city of North Charleston, should that be something that is passed.
On a whole, Dr. Roberts, would you be in favor of that for the entire city?
That I don't know, because my analytical brain, I like to dig deep. And I don't know that I would favor that, because I would have to see, what would be our guidelines. Right now, I'm in support of all the teachers in Charleston County and Dorchester County School District. They work very hard with our children. My children went up through Charleston County, and now my youngest is a senior at Fort Dorchester High School. So I appreciate the work that they put in. The concern that I would have would be ensuring that the curriculum is one that would make our students, or those particular students, excel on a state and national level. We've been riding at a low level for many years, in the state of South Carolina when it comes to education. So that would be very important to me. And I'm a proponent of education. That's very important to me as well. And I would have to definitely see the curriculum, ensure that we have qualified educators in place, and that we have checks and balances. I'm an accountability person. And so I need to make sure that we would be being accountable to our children, because they are indeed our future. So I would not, I can't say if I would support or not support that. I would definitely have to see the plans, and the pros and cons, before I could weigh in and give a solid, yes or no.
And I know you mentioned just a second about the dollars and cents. So how much money would the North Charleston would have to, basically put out just to get away from the Charleston County School District?
So I think one of the things that we would have to be concerned about is, first and foremost, the facilities. Where would we house those students? Because I would like to venture to say that Charleston County won't be relinquishing their buildings. And so we would have to now talk about infrastructure. So then, we go from infrastructure to securing locations for these students. We have to have the personnel to man the buildings. How many buildings are we talking? How many elementary schools do we really need realistically? And then we talk about, we got staffing, we have infrastructure, we have to have secure the land, and so there's a lot of costs. So we're talking billions of dollars.
Yes, ma'am. And realistically, in District 4, how many elementary schools do you need right now?
Currently, we have 2. And I would say we probably could use another, because you have to think about those kids that attend Rollins School of the Arts. We have some children that attend Cathedral of Praise.
Yes.
We have some that attend Palmetto. I forgot what it's called on Dorchester Road.
Oh, Scholars Academy.
Yeah, Palmetto Scholars Academy. And so when you think about those students, right, that are in our district, that go elsewhere outside of Fort, outside of Joseph Pye, if they should to remain in our district, where we would probably need at least one more, possibly two, so that we don't have an overcrowding issue. And the ratio for educator to pupil is that, standard 3-to-1 or 1-to-5 ratio.
Yes, ma'am. And going back to your district, Dr. Palmer-Roberts,
Yes.
Palmer-Roberts, what's more important for District 4? Is it building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, better utilizing those homes?
I think rehabbing and better utilizing, because here's the thing. If we don't take care of what we have and we continue to add on to it, then we diminish our property. We diminish our infrastructure. I don't think that we should continue to add to certain things where we see that there could be a need to, like you say, refurbish, and reinvest into what we have to maintain what we have. And in maintaining that, we go back to the quality of life. We go back to ensuring that our property, in the green spaces that we have, the walk spaces, the outdoor activities that we currently have in District 4 remain intact. A lot of people, and if you ride down Patriots Boulevard at any given day, you will see people walking their dogs, riding their bikes, often just sitting by, some of our our lakes and that we have, and just enjoying that time, because that's the district that we have, and we want to keep those things up. But if we continue to add on and not take care of what we have, we won't have that luxury.
And you touched on it a little bit, but I want to ask you this, Dr. Roberts. How will you actually maintain and enhance the existing residential and commercial character of your district, and actually provide for compatible, appropriate, and high quality development and redevelopment?
And that's a loaded question, don't you think, Quintin? But what it starts with first and foremost is, for me, my goal would be to work with the HOA presidents to make sure that the residents are adhering to those rules and regulations that we all signed on as residents of District 4 to maintain and upkeep our homes. And when those violators are violating, that they are held accountable for those violations and made to, make good on those violations. And I know the HOA presidents work very hard in District 4, and sometimes it is hard to enforce, laws and then actually collect on them. My goal would be to make sure that I am in constant communication with HOA presidents, attending their meetings, attending community meetings, and ensuring that that's happening. Simultaneously, working with local developers and contractors to offer, as a homeowner, when something happens in your house, if you don't have access to contractors and handymen, if you will, it's hard to get things done. And so a lot of people want to keep their homes up, want to do the needed upkeep, if you will, but they can't find the people to actually come in and do the work at a reasonable rate. And so that's a problem as well. So I want to work with developers and contractors and really kind of create a go-to list for District 4 to say, hey, these are people in the area. Here's a list of plumbers. Here's a list of, roofers, if you will. And when we have issues, we should be able to go back to that pool of residents, small business owners right here in our district, and give back. And so that's keeping money into our district, is sowing into the small business owners in District 4. And that could also help the upkeep of District 4. Simultaneously, when we have opportunities for greater infrastructures, if you will, and bigger developments, utilizing those same small business owners to be a part of those initiatives, and not necessarily looking outside of District 4, or as been happening in the past, using the same companies over and over again on these projects and overlooking the small business owners here in our city.
Now, Dr. Roberts, let me ask you this then. You talked about the developers, obviously, in the last answer. So what incentives, that is, do you want them to bring into District 4?
The developers?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like for developers to understand that when they're going into any district, not just District 4, that they should look to partner and work with those residents and those business owners in that district, because, we're the ones that's here. We understand what we have. We understand and know what we need. And I think that by those partnerships, and collaborations, it will help the developers in the long run in terms of their projects, as well as, being seen better in the communities as community collaborators and not just developers.
Now, let me ask you this. You mentioned the developers, as I said it in the last answer. How many homes have actually been developed at a fairly consistent rate in your district?
Oh, wow. So I would say since conception, since District 4 existed, or over the past, year?
I would say over the past 4 years, yes, ma'am.
Over the past 4 years? Over the past 4 years, I'm thinking we're sitting at about 1,000 homes. Over the past 4 years. Like I said, Indigo Palms is still developing out their district. Clusar Preserve is finished developed, and we're over 500 homes here. Indigo Palms is adding to that. And then we had some, new properties built out on Patriots Boulevard. Townhomes were built on Patriots Boulevard over the last several years. So I think we're sitting at close to 1,000. Yes, sir.
So how many of those are actually high density apartments?
I would say probably about 20%.
Okay. Now, how many of those new apartments that are coming into your area right now, how many do you need to actually drive down the cost of housing?
That would be a good question. And to drive down the cost of housing, I'm not sure if it's going to drive it down. I really think the townhomes that are being built right now are starting in the mid 200s or high 200s, if you will. And so I'm not sure how much it's going to drive it down. It just depends on where the developers land, because as you know, even though it's listed for a rate, once they get into development, and things continue to unfold, there are different things that happen, and it's going to drive up the cost, and we have to work with Dorchester County and the city of North Charleston to ensure that we're mitigating those costs, for those individuals that are looking to purchase home and become homeowners, because that's a goal, right? We want to move away from renters to homeowners, because when you own your home, typically you care for the home a little bit better and the environment a little bit better than you do if you're paying rent, which goes back to quality of life.
That's my next question, Dr. Roberts. How would you actually flood the market as a councilwoman with more housing so that those rent prices can actually drop?
Again, working with those developers. It's okay to build the nice, pretty homes. That's great. But I think a portion of those homes should be such that it's affordable, for certain residents or certain, residents of the city of North Charleston that may want to reside in District 4. I don't think that every home needs to start at mid $200,000 or $300,000. I think that a portion of development should be allocated to affordable housing, if you will, as well as workforce housing, because we have a lot of people who work in the city of North Charleston but don't reside in the city of North Charleston. So I think that there should be some initiatives put into place that offer some programs, if you will, for city workers as well as affordable housing.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm trying to still get the answer from everybody on this.
Okay.
Do you all really need affordable housing? What is it? Is it affordable housing or workforce housing that you really need?
I think it's a combination of two things. I think, affordable housing for those residents who are working very hard every day and just cannot afford to pay, that hefty mortgage, if you will. And then that comes with financial literacy, right? So then, that's my other hat. Then you have to start teaching people how to maintain their finances, maintain their credit, so that they can be in a position to afford housing. And it's housing that's affordable to your level of income, not just because you want this particular home. Workforce housing is that we have a lot of residents that work in the city of North Charleston, surrounding the city of North Charleston, that can't reside in the city because they feel that housing is more expensive, taxes is more expensive, particularly in Dorchester County. I experienced it when I relocated here myself. So it's a combination of two things. that I think we need to look at. And I think we need to be clear in making sure that we understand the separation of the two, and we understand exactly what it means here in the city of North Charleston and how it impacts our residents.
And I know you just mentioned earlier in the interview that you all don't have that much left of green space in that particular district. So,
Yes.
for instance, let's say hypothetically on the outskirts of District 4, is there any land available for affordable housing and workforce housing?
Yeah, I think there's some land available. We're kind of neighboring. We connect with District 2, District 7. And so there are some areas that I think that we could do some development, and get some affordable housing in place. I've come to learn in my time here on Earth that all things are possible. And I think that if you get the right team of individuals together, and solid thinkers and that are like-minded with no hidden agendas, that we can find, and we can pretty much find a space and resolve any issue that comes before us. And that is one of the reasons why I'm running for city council, because I feel like I am that person. I am a forward thinker. I'm not afraid to make tough decisions, and I am a challenger. So I will challenge the status quo, if you will, and I will stand up for the people.
Now, I know obviously you are running for North Charleston City Council, but I know a couple of weeks ago, current North Charleston City Councilman Mike Brown Jr. actually posted on Facebook that he wants people to get involved and help support you all for your campaign.
Yes.
If he gets elected to North Charleston City Council and you get elected to North Charleston City Council, how would you all vote differently? How would you vote differently from him?
I don't know how we would vote differently. I think that Mike Brown Jr. is a very forward-thinking young man. I think he has a great head on his shoulder, and he will bring a bright perspective, if you will, to the council. And I think that one of the things that we definitely will do is none of us will always vote. Well, I probably won't always vote with everyone. I will vote my conscience. I will vote based upon my moral and my ethical values. I think that from what I know and what I understand, that we share a lot of those same values with our upbringing in the church. And so I think that we will definitely work well together.
Now, if you do get on council, would you ask for a forensic audit of the city of North Charleston?
I would definitely inquire about that. My concern about a forensic audit is the taxpayers and the cost of an audit. I think that we do need to do a deep dive into the inner workings of the city and clearly examine the way the city has been ran, over the past few years. A forensic audit is very expensive. And if we do vote on that, and if the funds are available, then it's not an additional expense to taxpayers. I do think that those group of individuals should be outsiders and not someone, in the city of North Charleston, but definitely a company from outside of the state of South Carolina.
Dr. Charmaine Palmer-Roberts, thank you so much for your time. And again,
you're welcome.
Close-ups.
Thank you, Quintin, and thank you for having me. And I appreciate what you do. God bless you.
Likewise.